Thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. Lake Champlain is one of the most significant natural resources in our region. It provides drinking water to hundreds of thousands of people and recreational opportunities to hundreds of thousands more. One of the many ways that Vermonters connect with the lake is through the Lake Champlain International Father's Day Fishing Derby. The Derby starts June 16th, marking its 37th season. To learn more about the Derby, I'm joined by Sue Hager. Sue is the Outreach and Tournament Director with Lake Champlain International, or LCI. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I can't believe it's almost Derby time.
I know, right? This is really exciting.
Tell me a little bit about what LCI is.
Well, LCI is a nonprofit organization that's based out of Colchester, and through events like advocacy and special programming, grassroots campaigns, we really work to get local, national, regional people together to speak and address water quality here in the state of Vermont, and as far west as the shores of New York State.
Mm-hmm. And so how did Lake Champlain International get its start?
Well, it started as a partnership between a local resident, Bill Jacobus. If you look on the screen, you'll see Bill Jacobus in the sunglasses on the right, and Howard Dean when he was representative at the State House, and he was also actively involved. Mm-hmm. Bill and a fellow named John DeLorme, he was a captain here on the lake, and they approached the Chamber of Commerce to see if there was something that they could do as a partnership in order to help work with the cold water fisheries in the state, mm-hmm. as well as bring in more tourism dollars to the region.
And so also we have some pictures of some of the species that we're talking about. What are we looking at here?
Oh, absolutely. This is a landlocked Atlantic salmon that we
huge.
have. It's huge and it's awesome.
Yeah.
We also have lake trout. Mm-hmm. And we also have, see this one is taken through the ice in the winter.
Wow.
And we also have brown trout. So those are the three different cold water species that Bill Jacobus and his team are really working to improve that fishery. Mm-hmm.
And so in the first year, about how many people turned out?
There was about 2,300 people that had turned out for that first year, which mm-hmm. was really exciting because they wanted to be able to spend money to move some of this fishery outreach and improvement. The following year, the number doubled.
And this is all, and one of the reasons, or one of the purposes for this is to help with the Lake Champlain ecosystem.
Oh, absolutely. Because we have to remember, everything really truly is tied all together. Mm-hmm. And when you're working with the lake, you really have to look at the broad spectrum of all the opportunities to bring in a lot of different stakeholders, people that are really invested in the region.
And so after year two, though, the Chamber decided to discontinue its association. So what happened then?
Yes, it did. Well, that's when Bill Jacobus and his team decided, you know, we really want to continue this program and the availability of this grant funding program as well, and the fishing opportunity. So they turned around and turned it into Lake Champlain International, the nonprofit organization that we are today.
Mm-hmm. And so tell me about some of the things that LCI does for advocacy and conservation.
Well, we have several, more than several. We have a real lot of things that we end up doing. We've worked on some of the specific things mm-hmm. that we've been looking at. I guess I should back up just a little bit. Sure. Because we started with a very small concept mm-hmm. or idea. Fast forward to 2018, and we're looking at basin-wide effects of anything that happens in our region. We have some troubling topics that have come up in the past few years in the basin. Mm-hmm. We look at things like blue-green algae.
Right, that's in the news almost every single summer.
Absolutely, and in part, some of that blue-green algae has caused beach closures, has mm-hmm. caused, you know, sickness or illness. We have invasive species now that we really have to be attuned to. So we're thinking things like alewife mm-hmm. or spiny water flea. And then on top of that, we also have to address the stormwater runoff as well as the combined sewage overflows. And that's been a really hot topic in the news nowadays as well.
Yeah, it seems like there are frequent occurrences.
Oh, absolutely. So there's this huge amount of area, I mm-hmm. guess, that we could say, that LCI is looking at. So we've advocated for the House 674 bill, which had to do with sewage notification. We've also fought for the continuance of our Lake Champlain lamprey program.
Tell us a little bit about that, because that was something that was in the news several years ago, especially, you know, fishermen were constantly saying, we can't pull a fish out of this lake without at least having some scarring or lampreys attached to it.
Well, one thing that's been really interesting for me, because I've been a volunteer way captain for one of our larger sites up in St. Albans Bay, and over the years, we've watched salmon, for example, coming in with large scars or lesions, it seems to be, on their bodies.
Right.
And that was a common occurrence when I first started. Between working with Sea Grant, the state of New York, as well as DEC in Vermont, we've been able to get to a point where we're not seeing those kind of marks as often on fish, but at the same time, too, we have to be really proactive in order to make sure that we don't have more problems with lamprey.
Because there have been regular programs where streams, freshwater streams, will be treated with a lampricide.
Correct.
That will control the lamprey population before it gets into the lake.
Yes, absolutely. And we do that both in Vermont as well as in New York State as well.
And so what are some of the current programs and services that you're working with?
Well, we have, there's
I know one's called Blue.
Oh, yes, thank you so much.
Sure.
So the Blue program has been made available to different towns here in the Chittenden County area. What happens is it's addressing stormwater issues, because that can be a huge, huge deal. We see a lot of that happening nowadays. So a homeowner can contact us. We go and evaluate their site using the current scientific diversion methods or ways to
To mitigate some of the issues.
Thank you, yes.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize, they'll say, well, I'm not anywhere near Lake Champlain. How could what be happening in my yard affect the lake?
Exactly, but you know, you have to really look at the watershed, the entire watershed, not just a certain town or stream or a county or even a state. Because anything that starts anywhere within the confines of our two mountain ranges, the Green Mountains here in Vermont, as well as the Adirondacks in New York, if there is any type of pollutant or anything that can affect some of the more sensitive habitats, it's got to go to the lake. It has to go to that lake. And if we don't all actively work to make those improvements, we're not going to be able to keep our lake fishable and swimmable and drinkable. And that's really important because, like you'd mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people that are taking their drinking water from Lake Champlain.
And also like to recreate in Lake Champlain?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we have we're the sixth largest lake in the U.S., and over the years, a lot of the professional anglers that have come have really said how much they love fishing Lake Champlain because there's some great opportunity, because there's some challenge to it. So now we're seeing a lot more activity at the professional angler level, but so many people come to Vermont because we're Vermont. You know, we live in one of the greatest places ever.
And one of the things that your organization does is regularly monitor the water quality. And how do you do that?
Oh, absolutely. Through the state, they have information readily available that has to do with any of the combined sewage overflows, any of the quality standards of the water in given areas. Of course, St. Albans Bay is a hot spot because we see a lot of blue-green algae in that area.
And you also do seminars and speakers?
Oh, absolutely. Any opportunity that we can make available, we've gone and spoken with classrooms for different professional organizations. Our testimonies have included not just our local but state and federal level, because we do have a really good background in everything that has to do with water quality here on Lake Champlain.
Tell me about the Little Anglers Free Fishing Derby.
Oh my gosh, okay. So that one's really fun. It's the very first day of our LCI Father's Day Fishing Derby. And as you can see, that's Bobber Bob, our mascot. Every year, it's a very short program. It lasts a couple of hours here in Colchester. And the kids really get excited. And the thing is if you have an opportunity to take your child to fish, you're setting them up for a lifetime of learning patience or environmental stewardship. It's a really exciting thing. When you see a kid catch this little tiny fish and they're so excited, you can't go wrong.
And so tell me about now the biggest program that you have, which is the LCI Fishing Derby, which is coming up in June.
Yes.
And the money that's raised also funds everything else that you do.
Yes. So we are in our 37th year for the LCI Father's Day Fishing Derby, presented by Yamaha. We have some phenomenal people that support us with this. Fish and Wildlife here in the state, Parks Department, as well as tourism. And Yamaha, of course, because they've been one of our longtime sponsors. We have 7 different categories. We have 10 places in each of those. We have a junior angler division, which is really very exciting. We have a ladies division and a team division. And all the money that we make, some goes into prize money for that, but also too it helps to fund our advocacy efforts.
And so tell me about how many people will participate in this derby this year.
Annually, we see 5,200 registered participants, and 15% of those are youth anglers, so that's 14 years of age and under. It's just an absolutely amazing program.
Now, where does the Father's Day Derby take place? I mean, it's the Father's Day Derby, but women and everybody's encouraged to participate if they want.
Oh, absolutely, because the whole point of the Derby is to be able to spend time with your family and your friends and do fishing. I mean, that's just the best thing that you could possibly do. It's lake-wide, so we have weigh stations on both sides of the lake, 6 in Vermont, 6 in New York State. We're as far north as North Hero, and we also go as far south as Whitehall. So anything within the confines of Lake Champlain, we're there.
And so what do you think makes the LCI Father's Day Fishing Derby so special?
I think a part of it really has to do with the community. We've developed a community. When I was weigh captain in St. Albans, I would see the same families year after year. So I've seen children that started when they were 6 or 7 years old, and now they're old enough, they have children of their own. So that's just wonderful. We've been able to really make connections over the years. We've lost some of our favorite anglers. We've met new ones. It's exciting when you get to be there when somebody gets that prize-winning fish. I mean, it's a really, really great program because it is all about family and friends.
And also, too, we should mention that it is a pretty big economic engine when you have that kind of an impact of all these people coming to the lake.
Oh, absolutely. One of the things is, quite often, even if the entire family is not participating, they'll still come for the vacation. It's a 3-day event. So not only do you have the money that is generated locally for your local gas stations or restaurants, you have a whole other sector that are taking advantage of a lot of Vermont's activities and recreational activities, going to a museum or going to a certain event in the area. I mean, it's really great because it's just such a super opportunity for families to really take some time, some really good time to be together.
Right.
And be outdoors.
Which is important, which is, no cell phones.
Yeah, exactly,
no
right.
devices, because you don't want that near the water.
Right.
So where can people find out more information about the Father's Day Fishing Derby or any of the programs or events that we talked about that LCI is involved with?
We have a website, www.mychamplain.net, or they can call our angler line, and that's area code 802-879-3466.
And it's, even if you're not going to be participating, It's a lot of fun to check out some of the weigh stations, so you could find out where those are, just to see what kinds of fish are coming in and the size.
Oh, absolutely. And the other thing is, too, is we still have registrations open so that if anybody is interested in doing a registration, not only can you do it online, but we also have a huge number of official registration outlets as well. And you can find that out on our website or give us a call.
Terrific. Well, Sue, thank you so much for spending some time with us today.
Thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. I'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.